Um,
There's
it's like
no
that.
good
There's like
place to go.
there's like these underground gnomes that they've never seen the sky, and they think that the sky doesn't exist. And like there's this witch that's like been telling them that they got to stay underground and stuff like that. And then eventually, like the terrain starts collapsing, and they're able to see the open air. And it's like the world's has always been out there, but then this character is like, well, it's like of course they're rushing around and acting crazy. The world's coming to an end.
Right.
It's like it's not the actual world that came to the end; it was their concept of it.
So the actual world, because if you're, the same way we were talking earlier with inferior functions, like the actual world is the actual world for intuition dominant people. The actual world is their idea of the world for people that are sensing dominant, because it's like closer to the unconscious. It's closer to what you understand as truth. So
that is interesting. How it's like the sensors are the ones that are like they depend on their idea of the world. It's like the crux.
No,
that's fucking scary.
No, it's cool.
It's cool, but it's scary.
Yeah, that's
from my perspective.
What can you explain more about what you mean there, Ken? Obviously, I know basically nothing about MBTI. So when you say that sensors depend on their, like,
so it's actually Zach's idea where he was saying that he thinks that the inferior function, or like the fourth function, is where people sort of house their either their concept or like just maybe more than that. There's like a deeper sense of like what the world is.
It's everything, more or less.
Okay.
Because it's the gateway to the unconscious, which is everything, because we're just working within our own perceptions of existence anyway.
So they really aren't receptive to any kind of like red pilling.
I still haven't seen The Matrix. Could you explain that?
What? Well, red pilling is just anything that wakes somebody up to a certain more likely reality that they aren't being told by the government and the media, such as 9/11 was an inside job.
Calico cats aren't cool. It's like people need to wake up to that. Calico cats aren't cool. However, the word calico, pretty fucking awesome.
Was the cat
sounds cool? Yeah. Calico cat sound.
Alice in Wonderland calico?
I'm not sure. I've never seen or read anything pertaining to Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, it was. Cheshire. The Cheshire cat. What are calico cats? Oh, they're cute.
Calico cats.
What do you?
Which link do y'all want? Do you want 10 reasons why calico cats are awesome, or 21 reasons why calico cats are the best cats?
Jesus.
Which one? You have to choose.
I don't want either.
Okay, well, then
this
you're
dude,
10.
10
is better than
saying, he said, "NI is your derived meaning of the world."
All right, Reason 1. Oh, they're not even numbered. That's ridiculous. Calicos are the official state cat of Maryland. That's not that awesome. The famous Lucky Beckoning cat, the little Asian toy that goes on this, is based off the calico. That's pretty awesome. It's like having 3 cats in one! Exclamation point. I mean, really, can it get any better than that?
So I like how in the ancient Egyptian thing, they fucking colored it in. Like, what a bunch of plebs.
That's what makes it a calico, is the color. Calicos are always female. There are rare exceptions to the rule, but it's extremely rare. 1 out of every 3,000 calico cats is born male. You can't breed one because they only happen by chance, and perhaps a little magic. I like that. Oh, God. Okay, so back to sensors and understandings and stuff. Superstition. my boss at work yesterday. I was like, so do you think it's gonna be busy tonight? Like, I think like everyone will be hungover, so it won't be that busy. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. Like in a superstitious way. It's like as if it's that same like intuitive thing where you're like, if we say it, it might become true because then you're validating the idea rather than leaving it be something that's unspoken. And it's like, well, I mean, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So like, why not just talk about it? Because like, what else are we going to talk about?
Is he an SE type?
He's a ESTP.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was saying like my coach, like before meets, if he has a good sock and shoe combo, he won't change it. Like if he thinks it's gonna help him win somehow.
It does.
I actually sort of understand that. I wonder if it's an ISE combo, or maybe not. I mean, if you understand it too.
I think it's just a human thing. But it wouldn't be to talk about like just the negative things. It would just be to explore all the possibilities of what was going to happen that night. So like we'd be prepared for whatever, or not even. It has nothing to do with preparation. I just like talking about what might happen because it's fun. I was thinking about what would Airbnb be?
Here, be right back.
Yeah, like if you made that like an app or something.
I can't vector from there. Sorry, NE is not present.
Airbnb. I like waves. Everything in waves. So you like go to the B&B, like you go to a place that they're advertising in Airbnb, and then they like you go back to where you came from. That sounds so fun. Oh, that's so sick. So like Airbnb is like you rent out a place, right? It's like you rent out a house or something, so that you are gonna like sleep at. And Airbnb would be like you rent out a place that you don't go to. You like just go and then leave, and then you go and then you leave. I don't know.
It's like when you need a place to pretend to be. You're like,
Yeah.
you're like, well, use your place as my address.
You just need a place to go for a second, yeah. Sort of like Alex was saying, take your girlfriend to the restaurant. If you change your mind, you can go back home.
See, now,
Or it's like,
Or
it's
run
like-
away, confuse people.
but
yeah.
based on what Nep just said, my brain's sort of spiraling off into imagining some subgenre of furries where it's like they role play as bed bugs.
It's pretty good. Airbnb. Yeah, I would use that so much if I was like in a place and I was like in a social situation mostly, and I'd be like, oh, I need somewhere to go, and there'd be like Airbnb, and it's like, go to this park, and you just go, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to this park. Be right back.
So
And you just
I
go there.
got a question pertaining to NI or NESI for you. Do you feel like part of the pool to be located in one particular environment is because it's like NE has a sort of branching off effect, and you want to be like You want to be situated in a familiar area where you can do that branching off based on an actual physical location rather than
Yeah, it gives like a little bit more structure to any, or like a, because it's like any it's infinite or whatever, but it's still entirely dependent on where you're standing. So I see SI as where you're standing, and NE is everything else.
trying to better understand the NISC version of that.
Well, if NI is trying to make one understanding,
Then it needs probably a lot of different life experiences.
yep.
So I need to go become a fucking stripper in Milwaukee. Start
That-
there, move on to something else.
That would be another spot, yeah. That's all she wrote. How long did that cigarette take me to smoke? Like an hour?
You wanted to give it as much SI concretizing as possible.
The cigarette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because there were a lot of ideas that went around the cigarette. The lore of the cigarette was developed and built.
Yep. You got that right. Oh, now I can close the window. Oh, it's so damn hot outside. Milk was a bad choice.
Is that Taylor that's gracing us with all of his background noise? Probably.
I'm doing this room before I open the window. Oh, it's so hot. I'm tired. Google Chrome. No, I'll be right back.
I had bed bugs once, and I'm not sure how I got them. I think it was because I was working in a charity shop at the time, and you know what? In charity shops, they just don't wash anything. So, and I was sorting through. That's pretty much definitely how I got them. And obviously, when you get bed bugs, there's no way of getting rid of them, so you've got to throw your bed out. And I did. Then some fucker stole it. They just picked it up off the street, the dirty bastards.
Y'all like room 1 or room 2 better?
Room 1 is for assholes.
So that's one vote for room 1.
Yeah. Nep's like 2 is an even number, and odd numbers are of the devil.
Yeah. Plus, in gematria, 2 is a higher number than 1.
What do y'all think of room 3?
Heresy. In my mind.
I'm not saying it was heresy, but it was heresy. Well, that's convenient, Anthony, because I personally conversed with many numbers above 180, and they don't believe in you.
What would breaking the fifth wall be? This is an idea I've been thinking about a little bit.
Breaking the fifth wall is like realizing that we don't actually exist, or that our concept of how existence works. It'd be like catching a glimpse of reality outside of what our senses should be capable of. Like we somehow sense something that is not actually part of our sensory makeup, and we process information in a way that doesn't follow the rules, in which case we'd be like, wait.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. That's what I want to do with art.
I have a simpler explanation. It's where the actor jumps off the stage and punches you in the face.
That's still the fourth wall, though.
Yeah, your simpler explanation lends more credence. It leads more credence to you being a simpler creature. However, it doesn't lend credence to a fifth wall being broken.
Yeah, so the fourth wall is to break the reality of the entertainment, whatever it is, right? And then the fifth wall would be the reality that both the entertainment and the audience exist in, which is what you were saying. I like that.
Yeah, so it's like, oh no, look, we broke the fourth wall, ha ha. It turns out we were watching a movie. You know, it's like fifth wall's like, you're not a participant in anything.
We're all part of a non.
Fifth wall's like, movies aren't a thing, acting's not a thing, audiences aren't a thing, matter is not a thing, memory not a thing. Just going down the list, it's just like, fifth wall runs up and it's like, okay, are you processing anything? Are you perceiving anything? Do you know anything? Are you feeling anything? Lies! And then it runs off and you're like, shit.
Have you seen the film Cinedoc New York?
I love that movie.
Yeah, crazy movie.
Yeah, great movie. He almost breaks the fifth wall, though. Or I guess he's doing it in the character is both breaking the fifth wall in the film, and the film almost breaks the fifth wall. Wall, you know what breaking the fourth wall is? In entertainment? I think you Wikipedia.
It's where the actor gets off stage and punches you in the face. No, just kidding.
Yeah, essentially. It's like if someone's acting in the film and they're all acting with one another, and then someone goes, hey, what did you do for breakfast? And someone else is like, oh, I ate something. And then the breaking the fourth wall would be like, what did you eat for breakfast? You know, like directly engaging the audience.
It does it in Deadpool. I don't know if you've seen the movie Deadpool.
I haven't seen it, but yeah. I don't know, man. I'd say ideas are everything. Everything is everything. So love is everything. That's everything.
I feel like Anthony is an off-brand feeler, Coda.
No. What? That is the most it's the most TI thing I've ever heard. I love the TI view of the world.
Love is a neurochemical con job, everyone. Why can't I stop crying? Maybe if I rationalize it, the pain's not real.
Nothing exists.
We're all just I was like talking with my eyes too deep then. And
It's like
we got too far down the ideas road and he's like, well, if you want to do that, like of course you can say like nothing means anything, and we're all just cogs in the system that like we don't know what we're doing. But like, why would you do that?
I feel like a lot of T-types try to go through the process of trying to rationalize, like they spend a lot of energy explaining to you, sometimes very emphatically, why feelings are stupid.
As a means of expressing all their feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, feelings are stupid. We shouldn't have feelings. It's like, people who have feelings are stupid people. Whereas, like, any feeler who's like actually attempted to understand feelings are just like, I mean, if you have those feelings, that's okay. I actually get pissed sometimes because I used to try to do that more, to where I try to validate, but in some ways I don't even try to validate people's feelings because I feel like they're above my validation. Like, I don't need to validate somebody's feelings. Like, I don't need to say, no, it's okay if you feel that way, because it's like, by speaking that way, it almost gives the sense that I'm the one deciding whether or not it's okay, or that it's up to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, that'd be like walking up to a tree and watching it, wrestling in the wind and being like, no, it's okay, tree, you can do that. It's okay.
Yeah, I find the way that it makes sense for me to do it is just to like sit there and be like, yeah, like, I'm here. And they're like, oh.
That's the thing, though, Elsie. It, like, feelings and validity they don't connect.
There's Elsie.
She may have left, or oh no, she's there. It's like the idea of like a feeling not being valid, like it doesn't follow.
Yeah.
Because it's like what I was saying. It's like a tree growing. It's like, this isn't a valid tree. It's like running out to one of your sheep in the field and being like, you're not a sheep. You're not valid.
But I think what Elsie's saying is like, someone saying like, this is a valid tree to a sheep. You follow that?
Yeah, but that's not what it is. There's like a difference between direct observation and then.
But it's
I guess to me it's more of an SE versus NE sort of thing. It's like, it's not very idea based. It's like direct observation. Like, what are we looking at?
What are we looking
It's
at?
more like being present to what's physically occurring.
Whether it's a sheep or a tree or both.
I prefer the term evaluate rather than validate.
Evaluate. That sounds like some like TE metric shit.
Right, but I'm TE polar, so you can take it from me that it's not a TE metric.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a plan. It's not saying, okay, in the evaluation process, we do step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3. It's more just being present.
When you say evaluation, I sort of imagine like that. Like one tree, one sheep, 2 total. 3 total feelings.
But it's difficult to parse because sometimes you'll have a tree, a sheep, and whatever else occurring at the same time.
Oh no.
And so in real time, you can't parse out. It's like when you blurt it out, it doesn't come out as, I have a sheep, I have a tree, and I have this other thing. It's, I got a sheep tree thing.
I got a sheep.
It's like you just start shaking frantically like your branches, and you just start making a bah sound.
Someone's got a treat in here.
They're intuitive corollaries, Elsie. It's okay. You don't.
Dangerous feelings are valid. If you don't validate them, then they just stay there anyway. Like validity is just existence, essentially.
No, I don't really. I don't know if they're dangerous feelings. They might be. They might potentially be dangerous, but I think the reactions to those are more.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to go fuck shit up at random? Like that's a valid feeling. Now don't do that.
But that's not a feeling. That's an action.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Well,
I could want to. I could feel like going and murdering a whole lot of people, and that might be actually justified to some extent, but it's not necessarily the best course of action.
Yeah, it's also funny because like,
So it's
So, like-
there's a separation between your feelings and what you do with them, and that's a very
Right.
clear separation.
Right.
why?
Like you could process being angry by decking someone in the face, or maybe very loudly or aggressively saying, "I'm really pissed off right now." Like those are two different choices you could make. You're not ignoring the anger. In both cases, you're utilizing it, but you can decide to express it physically or verbally. And sometimes people express their anger by yelling at somebody else and saying it's your fucking problem or something like that. But as I said, you could also choose to explain it by just announcing to somebody, "I'm really angry."
Mm-hmm.
And then it's
Can't they
more.
be detrimental?
What?
I said, can't they be detrimental no matter how like they express it in a way?
Possibly, but I think that's getting perfectionistic. Maybe not necessarily perfectionistic, but there are ways that could hinder a healthier expression. If you're tracking and you're worried about, because I'm trying to think about how people might go about reasoning it. Like whatever the logic is, when feelings are involved. Incidentally, I don't know if you've noticed, but oftentimes when feelings are involved, thinking somewhere off in the other room. It's like sometimes you gotta. It's like I feel like it's a juggling act. It's like at any one given time, it's like you're holding different like balls or whatever you're juggling.
I see what you mean.
Whether
I
it's,
like the sound of
thinking or
that.
feeling. Megafauna. You want to know
Yeah,
why
I
all
mean-
the
I mean-
woolly mammoths are dead? I killed
I think
them.
I think validating feelings isn't about saying that the thing that this feeling makes you want to do is right. It's about saying you are okay to have that feeling and justified in feeling that.
Right. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that I'm at the,
And then you can sort of process it and say, well, and you can think about it because feelings aren't rational. You can say, well, am I right in feeling that? And then, that can sort of change the way you feel about something.
yeah. I'd say that as far as the functional relatings go, it's like I think sometimes that can get confusing because it's like the feeling judgments in MBTI and socionics they get referred to as like rational. However, I get what you're saying. Like when it comes to like the actual like feeling that you have in your core body, that's more like a sensation, or it's closer to being a sensation. I guess I sort of see. Like, I'm not entirely sure how to parse it out just yet, but
I think that like are you trying to say like how the feeling manifests and how it expresses itself? 'Cause I have like because that could be through sense. Your feelings could express and manifest themselves through the sensing functions.
Well, that's part of it, yeah. But there's another. I think as far as the functions go, there's another metric, which is like it's like you have those reactions. I mean, like those feelings, as we call them. Like there's more sensing oriented feelings, which are like, oh, I'm hot, or I'm cold, or something like that. But then there's other ones that's like, okay, I'm feeling fear, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling.
I presume that we're talking about emotions.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I feel like you can manifest emotions through your sensing functions as well.
Yeah, that's part of it, but I think you could also do it through other functions. Yeah, I'm not denying the sensing aspect of it, but I think being in touch with your sensing functions would help the most immediate aspect of it. But then, like as far as the feeling functions go, or like like say FI or something like that, it would be having that feeling or like that more immediate emotion, and then from there having a vested interest in wanting to learn like what does that mean, or like just figuring out nuances or aspects of that, whereas I feel like TI is more like trying to figure out nuances and aspects of impersonal aspects of things. It's like it's not getting involved really in the murkier aspects of emotion, or maybe not murkier, but just it's TI's just got a more detached bud to me. And so sort of what I was talking about, where it's like thinking seems like it's off in the other room, like you got the feeling stuff going on. I was sort of saying that because it's like I feel like TI, even when you're talking about like someone in particular, or like a more minute aspect, or like a single variable, it's still in a greater system, I think, whereas I feel like FI is more it's like maybe I'm getting intuition too confused in this, but I feel like it's more like person to person or aspect to aspect, but it's not even aspect because it's still relating to emotion. I feel like feeling and thinking is harder for me to parse.
What about if we think of it as like a TIFI, TEFE like proportion, like in how they if you get what I'm like trying to say. I don't know. I just forgot what I was going to say.
I'm not sure.
Like where, because you were talking about how the introverted perception functions relate. You said feeling you think is just more like person to person, or the emotional aspect. Well, if we take like FI and compare it to FE, which is just sort of the outward objective emotional atmosphere, the same way TE is like, I guess a lot of people think of it as like societal logic, or what's just accepted already. So
what TE?
Yeah.
Societal logic. I've never heard it.
That's
like rules. You hear a lot of FE DOMs talk about like, yeah, there's all these rules that we have to abide by, and that's what they're talking about.
I thought you were saying TE is societal logic.
Well, yeah, TE as societal logic too.
Well, I was going to say maybe operating on an FI axis. Because it's on an axis with FI. TE and FI are on an axis with one another. It's like they got a duality thing going on. So it's like TE is maybe like the logical rules of engagement for FI individuals.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not necessarily wanting to, cross wires or.
I don't know if that's how like the axes work in that way. They might just be sort of like opposites, like hot cold kind of, like a hot cold kind of issue.
I don't know if they're opposites.
Well,
they're linked.
They're linked. Opposites is a bad word. they're linked the same way hot and cold are linked, if that makes sense.
Right. I understand that more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I sort of understand my because I was going to make a comment about FE, but I sort of understand that more as it's linked to my SE stuff. I feel like I maybe filter that through my SE understanding, which is like I see FE, or at least the way I would utilize FE, as more capitalizing on emotion. Like using certain cues, or like maybe like in form of like drama or like theater or something like that, like using a certain understanding of emotion to then affect others. So it's, I mean, like, and I don't use it as a negative term, but I view FE as like emotional manipulation of
It is
an
emotional
environment.
manipulation.
Right, of an environment, and then TE is more like the logistical manipulation of an environment.
Sounds like
Yeah.
you're sending most of that through your NI.
Quite possibly. But how do you think I'm processing it through NI?
Talking about FE being something manipulation of an environment towards some NI vision of it or something.
Well, the SE aspect I was talking about is that like it's like a physical presence. Like I think that's Kodo. Kodo, I think we found like your second cousin.
Let me see what he looks like.
Yeah, right.
Show us Kodo.
I'm trying to goddamn get the damn Morse code.
I mean, they don't look super alike, but they look alike enough.
I'm
we both have
assuming
fat-
it's because we're both dark. I'm assuming Kodo is dark.
I was thinking
you have
about-
a long nose. You have a long
Yeah,
nose, and you
yeah.
also have sort of a fat face like me. But my
Okay.
face is a little fatter. So
I don't look like you, dude.
we do. Though. Look at the nose. We have big noses, man. We got the same
Yeah.
nose.
I guess.
And you got that like high look to you. I look pretty high. I'm just on coffee right now, so I'm like my eyes are like.
Oh, give me a second.
Yeah, man. We're like high as fuck together, man. We're cool, man. You smoke weed?
Nope, not regularly.
Yeah, me neither, man.
The answer, just in case anyone's listening.
It's not, yeah, we're talking the same. It's like it's similar enough that it's like you guys could. Well, what's your ethnic background, Anthony?
I'm a Palestinian.
Really?
Really.
He's fucking Kodo ain't got none of that shit. He's fucking Puerto Rican.
Shit, I thought you were Spanish or something.
No, I'm not. Most people actually think I'm Greek that see me.
I can kind of get that.
Yeah. Well, 'cause, like my angle is weird. Like when you get a full picture of me, I don't know.
Uh
Oh, damn, boy.
huh.
I see
Oh
him.
goddamn, boy. Are you leaving? You leaving, boy?
What's Kodo's type?
We're not entirely sure.
No,
Fucking INFP.
He's not.
not an INFP. Already, I could tell.
How would y'all rate my base face?
Your base face?
Yeah, on a scale. Just I just was cognizant of it.
I think
Uh,
your safe space gets a 3 out of 11.
My base face, not my safe space.
Yeah, your safe space.
From a one to sexy, you're like a 1.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
I'm like a sexy.
No, your base face from 1 to sexy, I would rate as involved.
That sounds like my sex face.
Involved. I am so involved with you, woman.
Mostly with myself, but yeah.
I'm
Racist. Don't be peddling that shit.
quite faint. Quite faint of heart for you.
Peddling. People start going on about race. I'm like, dude. It's like, so you can make physical comparisons. Like that's
Right, but that is one of the things of like racism, right? Is that like people of color more often are going to get asked like, "Oh, what are you? What's your background?"
No, it's not racist at all.
Well,
people. I asked.
I went to
other
a
people
liberal
that-
arts college.
He's right. You can make physical comparisons. It's 100% fine.
No,
Give it to white people, it's not
there's some people that it's like I'll ask them like if they have like specifically like a Norwegian or like primarily like a Scandinavian like heritage or something like that, just based on certain physical features. Or like there's some people that I think will look like certain actors that I know what their background is, and so I'll ask them like, "Oh, are you Danish? Or are you like just trying to see if there's any sort of morphological comparisons to be made?"
I don't know. I went to a liberal arts college for a couple of years, so everything's racist. I know how everything's racist. But it's more like the fetishization of it, of like, oh, you have such nice hair, like, can I pet it, or that sort of thing. Like, and it's an interesting nuance. I'm not saying to ask someone about their background is racist.
It's not.
I want someone to rub my bald head. I want somebody to be like, "Oh, it's so nice," but they're not going to do that because.
What kind of alopecia do you have? How do you have that alopecia?
Jesus. Fucking Elsie. The Orients. Goddamn.
It becomes a thing of like difference of like, and I'm not saying this is what you're doing at all, because it wasn't. But like of being like, oh, like you're different. Like, how are you different? And then like trying to pinpoint that against like whatever blank slate whiteness is. This is the way that I've had it explained to me.
I think what it is high stupidity on both ends, and if you can become that person who's in the middle, that proves your intelligence. And if you fall on either of the extremes, you're just a retard. Man, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, the wisest person says nothing.
But okay, you're clearly not the wisest because you said that.
Huh? What?
I'm talking to Zach. He said the wisest person says nothing. I'm like, and you saying that discounts you from being the wisest.
Yeah, I've given up on being wise.
Okay. I feel like the wisest person says nothing, and the dumbest person adopts that philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much difference between a wise man and a fool, right?
Not much outward.
Hold on.
I got fucking.
That's obvious. Wise men eat more cheese.
Man, I need some Adderall.
Ken, right now?
Some shrooms.
What do you think? Right now?
Right now? Right now? Right now?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Not right now.
No, not right now. Okay.
I don't feel like driving 38 minutes.
Oh, what's the difference between Ritalin and Adderall? I want to know. What's
Brandon?
Adderall kick ass. Ritalin kind of kick ass.
what? One more time, Eric.
Ritalin kind of kick ass. Adderall kick ass.
Okay, got it. Yeah, he nailed it.
They're both amphetamine. They're both like one thing away from that.
One methylated molecule away from meth.
Something like that.
Well, it's true. If you can't get any Adderall, meth will do in a pinch.
Or you can just hold off until you get more Adderall.
I mean, I do. That's why I have sleepy week. But they really are not very different.
What's not very different?
Meth and Adderall. Hey, Abe. Okay, tell them to do it in appear.in/autonomy and to give me a call if you can't figure
One is
it out.
okay,
Okay?
and the other one's okay for people.
Tell them to do it
Yeah.
in.
So it's interesting to see what happens on the internet because in real life I've found a conversation builds the more people you have into it, the more people you have in it, up to 5 people, at which point like 5 people is the maximum for like one comfortable conversation. And then after that, if you have 6 people, most of the time it splits into 2 conversations. So it's interesting to see on here, it's like that seems to hold pretty true, but instead of having it split into 2 conversations, you just have like a lot of awkward silence. Thoughts or just silence? Silence.
I'm eating.
Sometimes I swear that guy's retarded.
Well, he is the wrong NFJ.
Yep. That sums it up, Ken. He couldn't do that. He's the wrong kind of NFJ. He's the wrong kind of NFJ. I tell you who's the right kind of SFJ. Kimberly. Faux shizzo. The more I'm around her, the more obvious it is. That woman is my duel. The noble and long sought ISFJ. And I totally win.
It's a rare, the forever rare.
Well, they're not that rare. It's just that it's hard to find single ones.
They are always in relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Said mine. 'Cause I
Unless
saw
they're
it.
dudes and they're like dying alone.
Then they're just like sweet guys.
Then they're Ken's dad.
Well, true. I forgot about that. Either it works out or they die alone.
I thought my coworker was an INFJ. I think he might be an ISFJ, man. I really like being around him, but he doesn't really.
Go gay, Kato, because it's worth it, dude.
What was
Duel
that?
is totally, it's crazy.
No, Eric, fix your mic.
Yeah, I didn't. What did he say? Just repeat it, Eric.
I don't know. You can't really trust anything that ENTPs say ever because they're going to be so excited about what it is they're doing or who it is they're talking with until they get tired of them, and then they're going to run away immediately.
Who's going to get tired of who?
ENTPs of everyone.
ENTPs won't get tired of ISFJ.
Not until they get tired of them.
It doesn't work like that. Because it's a perfect mix of places where somebody wants to lead and places where somebody wants to follow. You know, Susie put up something the other day that I noted, and it's been ringing in my head ever since. It was just the headline that I noted. I didn't read the article or anything, but it said, "Good leaders make people feel safe." And ultimately, that's what a relationship is about two people having shared leadership roles. What do you each have leadership over? And if you're matched with the perfect type of person for you, she wants to be the leader over all the shit you want to be led about, and she wants to be led about all the shit you want to be the leader about.
My theory is that ENTPs are happy when they're not explain to you why they're happy. In my own mind.
ENTPs are happy when they're not explaining why they're happy.
Like when an ENTP starts explaining why their life situation is the best or why they're happy, it's like they're trying to like and put it in the like make sense of it. Whereas if you're just like quiet and content, then you're probably happy. Not saying that you're not happy. I'm just saying that's not how I understand it in terms of myself.
Well, I think you probably have a right spot on observation, except my context makes it a fundamentally different situation, right? Because I was talking like 12 hours a day prior to entering this relationship, and now I'm talking 1 hour a day, right?
That's pretty content.
So if we are going to use that metric, we have to compare against the baseline, not 0.
Fair enough. I'm just comparing it against the baseline of like, I'm wrong here.
Oh, you're an INTP, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, ENTP.
Oh, you're an ENTP. What's
Yeah.
your name?
I'm Zach.
Another Zach?
Yeah.
I just call him Marky.
794, huh?
Yeah, it's fun. With the SPSX.
Well, I tell you, here's some of the ways I gradually came to accept the fact that Kimberly, even though wishful thinking would indicate she probably was an ESFJ rather than what I want her to be an ISFJ, I just came to conclude that she's definitely an ISFJ. Because here's the way I drew these conclusions. Number one, she lets her son walk all over her. Candace, an ESFJ, she took 0 shit from Delilah. She was quite bossy all the time. All right, so that's a big difference.
More with Enneagram and type.
Well, they're both type 2. They're both SFJ type 2, but they display their 2 in way different ways. It's interesting to see. And it's like, with Kimberly, she's working to make me happy. And her basic default nature is SI. She wants to know herself and be comfortable with herself and have her environment set up and stuff like that. With Candace, it was the opposite. Her nature was to try to make me happy. And her work, her tool function was the keeping that nest and all that kind of shit. And so it made for an unhealthy relationship with Candace because it made it too easy for me to take advantage of and take it for granted. And then when she didn't like that, eventually, she'd get attacky in response. Whereas all Kimberly does is I can tell she's trying to hide it, but she's disappointed in me somehow. Mm-hmm. And she's trying not to show that to me. And that's a way more powerful motivation to me to change my behavior than anything Candace ever said to me at all.
Right.
Because she's always critical, and she's showing me I should be criticizing myself.
What was Candace?
Candace, my ex-wife, ESFJ. So I used to be with an ESFJ. I was married to her, or I was with her for 14 years, and I was married to her for like 8 of them or something. And it was a good relationship. There was no infidelity, no betrayal. We ended on basically, she finished raising my kid, and it was like, okay, I'm tired of you just walking up, like just taking advantage of my good nature. And so she bailed, and that was kind of sad and everything. But it was meant to be, obviously, because now that I'm an ISFJ, I see the difference. It's like, oh, because I was thinking like ESFJ, ENTP should have worked, except I didn't. I fucked up. I did these things wrong, blah, blah, blah. With an ISFJ, it doesn't come up somehow. It's like the problems that Candace and I would run into in equivalent situations, they just never go that direction with an ISFJ because of her different reaction and how my nature interacts with it differently. I mean, we've had fights, we've had bickerings and stuff, but they all feel fair and safe to me. They don't feel fucked up, you know?
Yep.
Are
I
you
think
a,
that
are you a 7 with an 8 wing?
What's that?
Are you a 7 with an 8 wing?
I still couldn't understand that. I'm sorry. Can you repeat it again?
7 with an 8. Are you a 7 with an 8?
I'm 783.
Yeah.
I'm 783.
He his 7 quality comes out in a lot more arm flapping.
Yeah. He just reminds me so much of my brother's best friend, who's like probably a 783 or 784 or something. But he's definitely got that 8 on there.
Yeah, I have 8.
I can sense it with ENTPs because I have no 8 in me. So whenever I see ENTPs who have 8, I'm like 8. You got 8.
I don't have nearly as much 8 as Audra or Taylor.
No, that's why I didn't type you as an 8.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good eye there. That's a good eye, baseball player. Good eye.
It's a little outside, but catching it, so it worked out well.
My tri-type is called the mover shaker tri-type. When I heard that name for the first time, I was like, yeah, all right, I want to be that. So it fits me in terms of what I want, and I don't know what puts my description in here, but I think it fits pretty well.
Are we sure that Jacob has 8 in his tri-type? Because I think he has himself labeled as a mover shaker, but I don't know if there's 8 in there.
Mine's the gentle spirit.
Jacob, he's Saint Swede.
You mean
Yeah.
Saint Jacob?
Yeah.
No. Okay, you didn't say Saint Jacob. I didn't know who you're talking about.
Okay.
I think Jacob is probably like 784 or something.
Jacob definitely has an 8 in him. I've battled with him before, so
Yeah, but he might have the 4 instead of the 3 on the back end.
That might make more sense.
I don't know what
He's-
he's got
he's-
right now, but he's talked about that possibility for sure.
he'll probably grow into the 3. Oh, it's like I have no problem texting mush. That's how perfect this relationship is. I'm not normally a huge mush texter.
I'm wondering if you think bass is an instrument for people with 9 in their tri-type. I'm basing this only off of me liking bass and Steve, who's the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's at 9.
Boom, 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 ba-dum.
Well, I would say it makes sense. It's like consistent that the bass is supposed to look low and that is rock solid, but not very fireworky.
Yeah.
And its ideal incarnations, I think. So in that sense, it's consistent that it would be a 9.
Maybe 9 on
I'd
the
say it
tri-type.
depends on
but-
what kind of bass you play. If you play like walking bass lines and like just like comping kind of bass, then 9 is very consistent. If you're playing like kind of shit, then that's more like 7 or something. Or
Yeah, which is, I don't know. I think it makes sense.
I feel like there's also a 6 integrating to 9 aspect of like smoothness.
Changing subject abruptly and briefly, I fucking love that new trailer. Did Elsie make that?
I think so.
It's fucking genius. You guys seen it?
No, think it.
Let's
Yeah,
watch
I watched
it
it.
together. I want to watch it again. Let's watch it together.
I have a banjo, and I love playing it by myself, but I hate playing around other people because it's so disruptive and so obnoxious.
Honestly, I can play a banjo, but I can play one of the techniques anyway.
Just take into context how nice and calm the conversation was while I was playing bass.
Talking with famous people. people.
Oh, what were we talking about? What were we doing?
You see how this is nice? We're able to interact and talk just